This presentation is on grounded theory. This presentation was done for my Master's of Educational Studies at the University of Alberta for the course EDU 510 Fundamentals of Educational Research for Dr. Janice Wallace. Hello, I'm Janessa Connor. My educational research topic is student connectedness. I would like to evaluate students' feelings of connectedness within a school with programs like Tribes Learning Communities and the Second Step program. These programs are designed to give students the tools to build meaningful relationships and create an atmosphere of mutual respect. In this presentation on grounded theory, I will cover the following topics. What is grounded theory? 3 types of grounded theory designs, philosophical underpinnings, essential methodology, and usefulness to my research and limitations, followed of course by my references at the end of the video. What is grounded theory? According to Cresswell and Guterman, grounded theory is a systematic qualitative procedure used to generate a theory that explains at a broad conceptual level a process, an action, or an interaction about a substantive topic. It's a theory design that's rooted in the data. A grounded theory researcher does not go into their study having a hypothesis. They allow the data to form their theories. They even go so far as avoiding literature on their topic to remain as unbiased toward the data as possible. This quote from Merriman Tisdall's Qualitative Research, A Guide to Design and Implementation, helps me understand the role of the researcher in grounded theory and how grounded theory got its name. It says, the investigator, as the primary instrument of data collection and analysis, assumes an inductive stance and strives to derive meaning from the data. Results of this type of qualitative study is a theory that emerges from, or is grounded in, the data, hence grounded theory. What is grounded theory? I would also note, as I researched grounded theory, I quickly noted that GT is quite often used as an abbreviation in the literature. According to Kathy Charmez in Grammar is My Homeboy's video interview with her, she says grounded theory favors theory construction over description. It favors constructing fresh concepts over applying received theory, and theorizing processes over assuming stable structures. This reiterates that the theory is developed from the data and the process, and it is not predetermined. Now for a little history of grounded theory. In 1967, Barney Glaser and Anselm Strauss described grounded theory in their book, The Discovery of Grounded Theory. Grounded theory emerged as a fledgling methodology when analyzing the data on dying in hospitals in their 1965 study, Awareness of Dying. At this time, the research field was predominantly quantitative data analysis, and as Kathy Charmez pointed out, qualitative research had waned, although there had been such a strong tradition of qualitative research throughout the history of sociology. And this was taken from Grammar is My Homeboy's video. Glaser and Strauss took dispute with the assumption that quantitative research was the only valid approach and argued that qualitative research was not impressionistic and anecdotal, but could be a strong builder of theory if done in a systematic way. According to Cresswell and Guterman, this groundbreaking book took the position that the current theory in sociology overly stressed verifying and testing theories, rather than discovering the concepts and hypotheses based on actual field data from the participants. As time went by and grounded theory was adopted by more researchers, Glaser and Strauss found themselves parting ways and forging new paths in their field. Beginning in the 1990s, Strauss began to work with Juliette Corbin with her research on community nursing health. This took grounded theory on a different path and began creating more systematic categories within the research. Then, in 2000, Kathy Charmez studied both researchers' work and felt it was too systematic, which led her to publish her more constructivist approach, asking, so who's got the real grounded theory? This leads us to the 3 different types of grounded theory designs. According to Cresswell and Guterman, there are 3 types of grounded theory designs. The first is systemic design, which would be attributed to Corbin and Strauss's work. The second is the emerging design, which is attributed to Glazer's work. And the third is the constructivist design, which is associated with Kathy Charmaz's work. First, I will speak to the systemic design of Corbin and Strauss. This design is widely used in educational research, uses data analysis steps of open, axial, and selective coding, and develops a logical paradigm or a visual picture of the theory. The emerging design from Glaser stresses that the theory needs to emerge from the data. It uses constant comparative coding analysis, and the theory is built with relationships among the categories. Glaser believes that his style of grounded theory exists at the most abstract conceptual level, and he believes it can be ever-changing. Corbin, Strauss, and Glaser all lean more toward a positivist approach, and that brings us to Charmaz's constructivist design. It is seen as a philosophical position. The researcher also brings values, experiences, and priorities to the research, and it explains feelings of experiences or the process. Choosing one of these three types requires several considerations. According to Creswell and Guterman, you need to weigh how strongly you want to emphasize procedures, use predetermined categories in analysis, position yourself as the researcher, and decide how to end the study, whether it is with tentative questions or hypotheses that are specific. Grounded theory has its own set of vocabulary. On this table, from page 436 of their text, Creswell and Guterman created a comparison table of the three different types of grounded theory. Note in the row titled Process of Coding the use of the words open, axial, and selective coding. More information on those can be found in our Creswell and Guterman textbook on pages 424 to 429. Another descriptive resource is the study in my references entitled Grounded Theory, Methodology Applied in Education Research. Feel free to pause here to take a closer look at the different elements for each of these different types of grounded theory. Philosophical underpinnings. Here we see a table put together by Singh and Estefan describing the philosophical underpinnings. Glaser is seen as having a more positivist approach, where Strauss and Corbin are seen as having a post-positive perspective, and Charmaz, of course, is well known for her constructivist perspective. As a reminder of what those philosophies mean, I've included this graphic taken from Norman's video entitled, What Even is a Research Paradigm? It lays out, in the science fiction world, characters who might be seen as having these philosophical characteristics. Positivism, which is associated with Glaser, is seen as logical and based in truth. Corbin and Strauss are post-positivists and apply a more structured approach to their research, which brings in reasoning and does not involve the passion of the researcher. And finally, Charmaz is a constructivist. Her approach brings the human element and the importance of the researcher to the development of theory in grounded theory. Essential methodology. Kathy Charmaz stated that grounded theory starts as an inductive method. It starts with the observations, interviews, etc., and theories are developed as a result of those observations. It's also comparative in that the researcher is constantly comparing their data to other data to categories, etc. It's an ongoing process of meaning making. It's interactive because you interact with the data and with your participants continually, and then with the analysis as you're developing it. It's iterative in that you can go back and forth between the data and analysis, the data and the concepts, and the data and the categories. The researcher has the ability to repeat processes and go back if they need to continue developing their theory. And finally, Charmaz pointed out that grounded theory is also abductive, in that you may come up with some surprising findings and then have to think of the possible theoretical explanations for those findings. Grounded theory methodologies. Data in grounded theory research comes from interviews, observations, and a variety of document material. There are a few methodologies that are integral to grounded theory research. These are coding, memo writing, and theoretical sampling. Coding, according to Pregel and Behrens and Charmaz, is the analysis of the data. Data is selected, separated, and classified. Codes emerge from the data. and builds relationship in the data to form theory. Then there is memo writing, and according to Pregel and Barron's work and Sharmaz, this is the stage between data collection and writing the research report. These memos are informal and for personal use only, and they are the researcher's interpretations. And finally, theoretical sampling. Theoretical sampling, as found in Bell and Waters, cites Strauss and his definition of theoretical sampling as sampling directed by evolving theory. It is a sampling of incidents, events, activities, populations, etc. It is harnessed to the making of comparisons between and among those samples of activities, populations, etc. Sharmaz also clarifies that it is a sampling to develop or to refine emerging theoretical categories, not to describe populations chosen before the research begins. Grounded theory methodology can be summed up with this quote from Strauss. The methodological thrust of the grounded theory approach is a style of doing qualitative analysis that includes a number of distinct features, such as theoretical sampling and certain methodological guidelines, such as the making of constant comparisons and the use of a coding paradigm to ensure conceptual development and density. Usefulness to my research and limitations. According to Kathy Sharmaz, grounded theory offers a conceptual understanding of the studied data. It provides tools for summarizing, synthesizing, and analyzing data. It's one method that helps you break the data apart and really look at it closely rather than just pulling it together. She also claims grounded theory gives you focus and flexibility. So in my own research, I think the constructivist approach seems ideal when analyzing feelings and perceptions of the participants. No hypothesis is necessary as the data creates the categories regarding feelings of student connectedness. This approach allows for variations in participants' behavior and can help identify factors that influence these perceptions. The challenges or limitations that come with grounded theory research are that it's complex in identifying those concepts, codes, categories, and relationships. The time involved, both the time to become skilled in this method and the application of the method, and with theoretical saturation. And that's the point when new data doesn't produce any new theories. So getting to that point could be time-consuming. Grounded theorists feel that this saturation point is necessary to ensure that it is conceptually complete. I feel that applying grounded theory methodology to my research could really give voice and shape to those concepts that will emerge in the interview process. Being that grounded theory is iterative and inductive leads me to believe it would be ideal for analysis of feelings of students' connectedness. However, I worry that the complexity and the time involved in both acquiring those necessary skills and the process of data collection, coding, memoing, etc. might hinder me from utilizing it appropriately given my project restraints. And my references are to follow. Here are my references used in the creation of this video. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, my email address is there, and I will hopefully talk to you on the forum. Just want to give credit to where credit is due. Slidesmania is the best website ever for creating awesome slideshows. Images are all royalty-free from Unsplash, and there is the fonts that are used in this presentation.